The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown.
Be not afraid. Keep on speaking. Do not be silent. Today I learned that the speaker for Wretched was at one point a comedian. You really could have fooled me.
That is a joke in itself.
Today we're going to take a look and find out how the liberals are apparently ruining sex. I didn't know sex had anything to do with your political affiliation, as long as, you didn't have a weird kink. I don't see how that's, liberals as a group's fault if some people have that kink.
Agreed. I don't see how liberalism has anything to do with sex.
Well, apparently we're going to get told, so let's find out.
I'm sorry, you're going to tell me how liberalism is good for women?
Liberalism throughout history was better for women.
Historically speaking, yes. It has always, historically speaking, led to better living conditions for women. Now, does that mean it's always a good thing? No. Modern feminism can be a problem. It can be toxic, but that's kind of true in every group of people. The problematic bad actors tend to rise to the forefront.
And be the loudest.
Who pays the price in an unchristian society? That's right, women and children. This is Wretched Radio.
And right out of the gate, we have a very interesting statement. Who pays the price in an unchristian society? Okay, first, what price? You're going to have to explain that part. Second, price for what are women and children paying for? Not being pushed and forced into having more children than they can reasonably care for and afford in order to make them more codependent on the church?
Aren't children in more danger in churches? Or is that just in a certain type of church?
That one's a complicated answer.
Yeah.
But two demonstrations of this from the Federalist, starting with how liberalism ruined sex and degraded women.
Sex? Why did you say it like that? How liberalism ruined sex.
Wait, are you uncomfortable talking about sex?
You're a grown-ass man. What the fuck was that? You're not fucking 12. Guys, I heard about this thing. It's sex. Back up. We'll play that again.
How liberalism ruined sex and degraded women.
And degraded women? What is the definition of liberalism? The political and moral philosophy based on the rights of the individual, liberty, and consent of the governed, and equality before the law.
That almost sounds like women get the same rights as men.
Meanwhile, he's staring into the camera with a, yes, you all know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? No, I don't. I really don't have a fucking clue where you're going with this. I think it's somewhere stupid, though.
Any unchristian worldview is ultimately going to find its way downstream into the lives of women and children. They will always pay the price.
What?
What is the price? Tell me the price.
Okay, no, hang on. Any unchristian worldview will end up downstream in the lives of women and children. What the fuck does that even mean? Every worldview, Christian or not, ends up, whatever the fuck downstream means, in the lives of women and children. Every worldview does. That's how worldviews work.
What do you mean downstream?
Always. You can study it in history. You can observe it today.
You're correct. You're correct. We can study in history that when liberalism springs up in places, it works its way through the populace, including the women and the children, and good things happen for them. Does it always work perfectly? No. No political system ever does. No political system ever has. But I don't understand what you're going on about. Because every style of thinking, every political thinking, Christian or non-Christian, affects everyone. Men, women, children, and the elderly.
From the article written by Nathan... Where's my Oh, Jimmy, look what I got here. I got my glasses. They're still in the plastic bag.
This is a video you're able to edit, motherfucker. Do you think we leave in all of our dead air and stupid mistakes? Edit your videos.
And we make a lot of stupid mistakes. I go, a lot.
I leave most of those in.
Oh.
Keep the plastic bags so they don't get filthy.
That's a great idea.
That's the only kind I have.
You're like Ben Franklin. Have you been watching the Ben Franklin PBS special?
I have not. No.
I'm telling you, I'm always a little, anything on PBS, I'm like,
Wasn't Ben Franklin more of non-religious?
Yes. Yes, he was. Also, why are you about PBS, of all things? What's wrong with public broadcast station? And seriously, why are you not cutting this? Apparently, Ben Franklin is intrinsic to how liberals ruin sex.
but it's just a historical treatment of Ben Franklin that overall just takes it from year to year. He was educated for 2 years, period. That's it.
Wow.
It was an honorary doctorate. I believe he received it when he was in England or in Paris. And so he did what we don't do these days. You get an honorary doctorate. You don't call yourself doctor. Instead, you earn your degree.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you naming someone with your little cough about honorary doctorates? Person in the center of the Christian community where they get fake documents from special Christian degree mills that mean fuck all and then insist that they're called doctor? You don't get the right to call people out unless you're calling out your own community first. People in glass houses.
Shouldn't throw stones.
I was going to go with shouldn't run around with their dick hanging out, but yes, that too.
But he didn't. He was awarded one because he was brilliant, and he invented the bifocals. He was actually, I think he was in Paris, and he was in a meeting, and he couldn't see the people, so he kept, moving his glasses up and down, and then he realized, well, I'll put on these other glasses. Hey, why don't we combine these glasses? Lo and behold, he invented the bifocals. He was a brilliant fellow, and I hate to say this, but if you think that Ben Franklin was a Christian, there's no evidence to lead us. Well, okay, I shouldn't say there's no evidence he's buried in a Christian cemetery, but that wasn't uncommon in the day.
Ben Franklin was as close to agnostic as you were able to get without being publicly condemned during that era. Yes.
And everyone was buried in a Christian church back then.
If you were buried, yeah.
Yeah,
What does this have to do with liberals fucking?
agreed.
When he was traveling through England and France, various seasons of his life, he loved spending time with people of the Enlightenment. Voltaire. He loved to put Enlightenment ideas into, well, basically, our form of government is where a lot of that came from.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you suggesting that perhaps our form of government is not based in God? Oh, something in your brain should have clicked there and actually started turning some gears and gone, oh, yeah.
That separation of church and state thing meant
Our form of government was based on the Enlightenment. Oh, wait, let me check something about the Enlightenment. Oh, that's right, yeah, that's what I thought I remembered. Thank you, Google. Yes, the Enlightenment shaped liberalism. Liberal ideas come from the Enlightenment. The same place you just admitted that our country's constitution and founding comes from.
Where did the gears stop, good sir?
To say Ben Franklin, though, was a Christian, he was a womanizer.
That's common in Christians. That's extremely fucking common. Oh, well, you can't be a Christian if you're a womanizer, bitch. It's funny because I'm laughing at you, not with you.
Just even as an old man, is there anything less than an old man who's a womanizer? Brilliant guy. Grateful he was there at the time, but I'm not so sure. that he was a believer. But I'm glad that I can read this for you, courtesy of Ben Franklin.
Wow, we finally fucking get back to it after you took a side tangent that you could have edited out and not derailed your own fucking point.
That was how long?
Sexual revolution has failed to deliver on its promises is increasingly obvious, even to those who loathe Christian sexual ethics. Now, you're going to have to follow along. You're going to get a couple of names here. It's worth the journey. For example, Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times has returned to the problem, reviewing a book titled Rethinking Sex, A Provocation by a columnist named Christine Emba. So Goldberg reviews Emba. Although Goldberg dislikes the book's Christian influences, she concedes that modern heterosexual dating culture appears to be an emotional meat grinder whose miseries and degradations can't be solved by ever more elaborate rituals of, here's the big word, du jour, consent.
The word du jour is consent? Do you know what you're talking about?
Is he?
Magnificent face freeze, by the way. But do you know what you're talking about? That face freeze roughly shows how much brain power I think is going on right now. Yes, dating culture is rough right now. What does this have to do with liberalism? Christian dating culture is just as rough. In which I mean that optimally you think there shouldn't be any dating, that you should just get married and then you're stuck with that person for the rest of your life. When you got married at far too young of an age that you were capable of understanding or accepting what you were getting into, or even making sure that you were a good partner because you were busy fighting your most innate human urges for literally no purpose.
Even secularists recognize, okay, women were treated better before Tinder.
Where the fuck did that come from? No, that was not the argument. Let's let him finish before we run this man through the mud.
And apps and pornography.
Are you fucking stupid? Do you have a thought in your vapid head? Or do you just say whatever shit you think sounds good at the time? Before pornography, motherfucker, we have found pornography drawn on fucking tablets. At the height of Christian beatdown culture, during the early Western expansions, where if you weren't a Christian, that was the reason when we were going to kick you out of town, son. There was thriving fucking pornography and burlesque houses. Yes, we didn't have it on the internet at the time, but people would still literally go town to town where they had a suitcase. And they had one suitcase where they sold what they were quote-unquote selling that got them in the door. And while they were there, they slipped the guy what they were actually selling and then met him out back. And then he spread word to his friends, and that was where he actually did sales, and then they left town again.
Not only that, porn has been around since there was cave paintings of stuff. You don't think we have always liked porn?
Most of the statues, there used to be a shit ton of them. They're starting to come back out that they existed. There were so many nude, naked statues that were clearly there for erotic purposes, and the church had them destroyed because that was naughty.
Naughty, naughty.
It's kind of like my favorite concept, that the Catholic Church went around snapping all the penises off of ancient statues, right? There's still ancient statues. So somewhere in the Vatican, there must be a box of penises just stashed away somewhere and hidden. And that's the gayest thing I've ever heard, and I love it. You have to wonder if they go and check that all the penises are still in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. But on top of that, this is a complete and total jump. All she said was that while I disagree with the Christian aspects of this book, she's right that the dating scene is terrible. And you fucking jumped to, what was it again?
Women were treated better before Tinder and apps and pornography.
Women were treated better. Oh yeah, when they were treated as property. That's what your religion does. It treats them as property.
Hippity hoppity. I'm now property.
It is hurting women. And this article, it's brutal to listen to, frankly, because so many women are involved in relationships that demand they basically look like a porn film.
What relationships are you talking about? Maybe we're going to address it. Hang on.
I'm sorry, you're going to tell me how liberalism is good for women? Would you like to make your case?
Sure, I'll make my case. Individual rights, bodily autonomy, the ability to act and think independently for themselves and decide what they think and like, instead of being at the behest of a man from a young age. No one, realistically speaking, is requiring them to look like porn actresses. And if you actually watched porn, let me rephrase this. If you actually admitted to watching porn, you would know that there is a vast, fucking insanely vast range of actors and actresses in porn. Of every physical description you can think of. I can hop on Google, and within the next minute, I could easily find a grandma with saggy-ass tits hanging down to her crotch. I can find a midget. I can find a double or quad amputee. I can find someone with severe downs where their face just has that twisted, vacant look to them, and just a very natural-looking body. And I can find a 10 out of 10, everyone looks at that and goes, shit, how do I get me some of that? And all 5 of those women will have people underneath proclaiming how much they love their content and how beautiful they are. And outside of porn, let's get real here. If we were saying that in reality, all of the non-Christians and the liberals are out here demanding that their wives and their girlfriends look like that 10 out of 10 level porn actress, they wouldn't be married and dating. It'd be like a fraction of the people that are.
Despite this admission, Goldberg isn't ready to abandon the sexual revolution, but instead, let's save it. Concluding the problem, quote, is that many women are still...
That's the face I keep making about you, only slightly more incredulous.
You could put me in a room with a box of crack, with a pen and a pad of paper.
And that's how I write this show.
To write down the absurd thinking of the darkened minds of our era, and I would not come up with this. I couldn't come up with the foolishness that is spewed from the mouths of academics, darkened minds. I keep coming back to 2 Thessalonians 2.
I'm going to pause before you drop a verse out of context. Just how does it not surprise me that he's not capable of coming up with the concept of people being people and having their own brains and not constantly being subservient to a sky daddy? Or is that the problem? You did all the crack back in the early days, and that's why your brain don't do the think good.
Yeah, because maybe your gears are full of crack.
Cracks.
Oh, even better.
Let's hear this verse, then we'll look at it.
I know the context, it was indeed with the end times, but there's no reason to think that God can't do a delusion over a lot of people anytime that he chooses to, and it just seems that's what we're experiencing these days.
Oh, you're not even going to quote it. That usually means you're taking something pretty good and out of context. Let's find out. We have something to say about concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and the time when we will meet together with him. Do not become easily upset in your thinking or afraid if you hear that the day of the Lord has already come. Someone may have said this in a prophecy or in a message or in a letter as if it came from us. Do not let anyone fool or deceive you in any way. The day of the Lord will not come until the turning away from God happens and the man of evil who is on his way to hell appears. He will be against and put himself above any so-called God or anything that people worship. And he will even go to the temple of God and sit there and say that he is God. He didn't even say he was going to delude people in that part. They're just talking about don't let other humans delude you. You can't even quote a basic verse right. I'm trying to find the stupid man funny, but I'm getting frustrated.
So here's what the secularists said we need to do to save feminism.
That's not what you just said. The sexual revolution is not the same thing as feminism. Which one are we addressing?
She concludes the problem is that many women are just embarrassed by their own desires, particularly when they're emotional rather than physical. Oh, I see. So women don't feel good about being treated like dirt, but that's just because they've got some emotional issues and they just aren't comfortable with their own sexuality.
The fuck are you talking about? No, that's not what she fucking said. That women don't feel good about being treated like dirt. No, it's a common fucking issue. That women don't feel comfortable expressing their desires and expressing what they're interested in, especially in the bedroom. Even if it's not something geeky. Even if it's something as simple as, I want you to hold me for longer after. I want you to touch me in this certain way or do these certain things. Because your fucking religion has told them that if they show any kind of thing other than sexual repression, if they express that they're interested in getting fucked, then they are degenerate and are going to hell as punishment. When you treat someone like dirt, to use your own words, for centuries, what do you know? They have problems accepting and acknowledging that they're worth something.
Even I had a hard time trying to become comfortable with myself. And I was not really religiously raised.
Because at this point, it's become part of our culture. Because Christianity forcibly shaped large parts of our culture, whether the country was established on Christian ideals or not. And in some parts of the country, if you don't live up to those Christian standards again, well, you won't be part of that community for long.
No. All right. Crack is involved in this some way or another.
Yeah, the crack's in your goddamn brain. The gears used to work, I'm sure. I'm told you used to be funny.
Because that's absolute nonsense.
Yes, everything you've said so far has been absolute nonsense. Finally, you say something of an astute observation.
Emba's book is full of now this is the actual book being reviewed. Emba's book is full of examples of people suppressing their longings, writes Goldberg. She interviews many women who seem to feel entitled to one-night stands, but not to kindness. It's what you get when you liberate sex without liberating women, end quote. So let me get this straight. If women were more assertive about what they want and don't want, all would be well.
Again, that's not what she said. She just laid it out and expressed it for you. And you just went, and you something in your brain for a moment, I swear, I saw a little fucking glimmer of, how do I twist this so it fits my narrative? How do I do? She wants women to tell us what they want more. She laid it out there for you. It is a result of what happens when you liberate sex but do not liberate women. They don't feel free because of your fucking culture to express their desires. Yes, to a certain degree sexually. But she said it herself. They feel entitled to a one-night stand but not to caring. You know, you keep bringing up crack. Is it because you're obsessed with it or you're getting off of it? If I had to guess for you, it's meth. A lot of meth is what broke down your brain this badly. You know, I've heard weed can reconnect parts of your brain. Maybe stop fighting that shit. Well, this one seems to be going on pretty long, and we're about halfway through the response, so we're going to take a pause there, pick this back up next week, and see what we can do from there. Until then, you all have a great week. Let us know if there's anything you're hoping to hear from us on the second half, and let us know what you think of this half in particular. We'll see you all then. Have a great day.